we're here still at the Biohacker Summit, Hack the Ego in Amsterdam, and I'm here with these beautiful ladies. They are sisters. Can you tell us your names and where are you from?
My name is Bianca, and this is Natasha.
Hi, my name is Natasha. We're both from the Netherlands.
The Netherlands, and they have two companies. Are they startups? Let's start with you. What does Predator do?
So we started Predator in 2015, a beverage with infused with adaptogens, no sugar, no caffeine. So we started a campaign against caffeine. A lot of people don't understand what caffeine is actually doing to your body. It gives you a lot of stress. And yeah, we wanted to drink something other than water and just tea with lemon and ginger.
I'm really interested in the personal stories behind what people do, because then it's not just a drink, right? Why did you do that? Like, what was the effects of caffeine for you? Did you have some personal experience?
Yeah. Yes, when we were studying, we were always looking for minimum input, maximum output. So we wanted to have good results, but we didn't want to work that hard for it. So we were looking for different ways to optimize our performance. Like as a student, we would use Ritalin, for instance, and we saw, whoa, this has a huge effect, but it's so synthetic. There must be something like a herbal solution, a plant medicine that can really like give the same effect, but then without the negative side effects. And when we would study, because we were studying political science, we would do the same study, and Natasha would read one book, I would read the other, and then we would read the summary from what the other one was making. And in that, we at one night we had different herbal supplements like ginkgo biloba, guarana, but also Red Bull. And yeah, Natasha didn't take the Red Bull, luckily, but yeah, for me, I took the Red Bull at that time, and I got really strange sensations in my throat. So I said to her, like, do you have that too? And she was like, no problem. And I was like, well, this doesn't feel right. And then when I felt, it was my heart pounding. And then I looked into caffeine, and also green tea contains a lot of theine. A lot of people don't know that, but that can cause a lot of stress. So we found NASA did research on spiders, where caffeine is really a toxin, where spider web was literally pure chaos compared to marijuana, LSD. You could see caffeine is like the worst. Wow. And that's how a lot of people start their day.
And I think that's very sad. You said you were students, so it's like the young people who are doing that. Can you sort of bridge the gap? So, telling the average person, no more coffee or caffeine or Red Bull, it's a big jump. Do you have some practical steps for like how to start being more aware and eliminating the harmful effects of caffeine?
I think it all starts, our body is the best technology there is. And you can ask your body, how am I feeling? And I think a lot of people got disconnected. But the easy way to start is it's really difficult to cancel out a habit or to make a new habit, especially when you're older than 30. It becomes much more difficult. So our habits are already embedded in our lives. So it's really difficult. So what you can do is change and substitute. So if you like tea, then try something else. And if you like coffee, then try our mushroom adaptogen coffee without caffeine, without beans, but also the endurance drink that we created. So you can replace products and keep that moment, because you still want that moment in place, but then with a better product.
What I also believe is that specifically drinking is so important, and it's very difficult. If you come here, there's so many hacks, and there's so much knowledge, like educational information about how you can transform your life with foods. But it's very difficult to make that transition to completely change your diet, So that's why we say just start with drinking. And if you become more aware of what you drink, it's something you do 8 times a day. That's the first step into transitioning your lifestyle. And so we studied political science, and I think, people who come here are so well educated. It's incredible how informed they are. But most of the people are not, or they don't have access to the information, or they don't have access to, the supplements that are being offered here. So that's why we wanted to develop a product that is, available for everyone for a good price. And also, specifically after our studies, I lived in Congo. I think not only on a micro level, what our experience was, for example, with caffeine, also seeing in society what the effects are of like sugar and caffeine drinks in society in general. I mean, 1 in 10 people are feeling depressed, and 56% of young adults are overweight, and that also has to do with what we drink. So that's why we said, like, when I lived in Congo, there were children on the street begging for sugar drinks, instead of what I thought, fruits or like really like, good foods to survive. And I was so shocked by that even in remote areas in the world, people are addicted to sugar and caffeine drinks. So that's why we really started this mission and developed Predator also to give back. It's called Predator because we have like an activistic approach against the monsters and the Red Bulls, and we want to, develop something that's strong, but we also protect endangered animals with every product that we sell. So yeah, that's really important in what we do.
I think you make a really important point. I was recently browsing Coca-Cola's website, and I don't know if you know, like, you go there and you think you're looking at a drink, and then they tell the humanitarian work they do and blah, and then you scroll down and they sell like over 1-point-something billion bottles of a sugary drink a day. And I feel like till we're reaching that target with healthy living, we've got work to do. That this is insane. It's a drink that's not even good for you. And it's reached every corner of the world a day. That's a lot of crap going into people's bodies. Right?
Every day.
Yeah.
And that's also why I think like we came from like the political side, like the policy side. And I was like, when I lived in Africa, and I also traveled to like Latin America, but I saw that we cannot wait for policymakers to make that change to, it's too difficult. We have to become more aware of what we drink and what we consume, and we can start with ourselves. And that's basically what we are trying to do already for years. I mean, we're doing this for 8 years already. So
you're absolutely right. And we, as consumers, we vote with our money. Like
that's what we always say. Is like we're always having the ambition to start a political party, but now we always say vote for us, vote for our products, because we do care about your health, and we just wish more consumers were also more loving for their body.
Yes, absolutely. And what's your company? What do you do?
So we're sisters, and we started Predator together. And we were also during our the process of being an entrepreneur. We also had like a spiritual journey where we started to meditate. 8 years ago, we started a meditation practice, and that opened up like so much for us. It completely changed my life personally. We started to do like energy practices, like because we were living together, me and my sister. We started to become so aware that we're all connected in this beautiful world, and we're all connected with energy, but also with our hearts. And that's basically how we resonate. But we're also stuck in our thinking, right? And that's why how a lot of people get depressed, because they fear for the future, or they have like remorse or trauma from the past they're holding on to. And so we learned like specific energy techniques to basically heal traumatic experiences from when we were younger. And so by that meditation practice, I learned a lot about how the brain works. And so I was introduced to the magic of psilocybin. And psilocybin is the bioactive compound in magic mushrooms. A lot of people know magic mushrooms by the trip that you can get. But there's so much research recently, like the last 20 years, how psilocybin affects the default mode network in the brain, which is actually similar to a long-term meditation practice. And so I was so compelled by, how, I was meditating an hour a day, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but not everyone is doing that. And so when you go from a state of stress, which is, if we're talking about hacking the ego, so the ego gets activated by a stress event or by a stress response. And then the body gets like, it's like a fight and flight response where the I is the most important thing because I need to survive. So everything around performance is very, ego, me, I am the most important thing. And so we start to understand how that process works to go from the stress state to a more state where we're feeling more united. And we were practicing that together with, for example, telepathy and understanding how that works. And psilocybin can help to reduce that sort of like that ego, that default mode state where we're in. And in the Netherlands, you can go into a smart shop and you can buy a pack of, it's called truffles here in the Netherlands. But you can just take it with you, go have your recreational trip. But no one will explain to you, how it works or how to take that first step, taking psychedelics. And so we wanted to sort of like break that away from that recreational use and help people to implement this in a safe way into your life. And so that's where Earth Resonance was born.
Very interesting. If you mind a question, so people talk a lot about meditation, energy work. Can you tell us your favorite, both of you, what's your favorite practice that you've done to hack your ego?
Well, for me, it's like very small things in a day. And that starts for me when I wake up, being grateful, like thinking about things that, where you feel real gratitude for, but also about the way we, for example, consume. For me, it's like all these smaller things that I practice during the day. And I think that is, so much more easy than, meditating an hour a day. And I mean, that sometimes can feel like a checklist, I did my meditation, check. But that's not really how, I did that, I've experienced it. And that can also feel like, a to-do list. And what I, for example, love is, how I make my smoothie or my shake in the morning with my herbs or with my mushrooms. And I just have an intention and I just speak it out loud. And then I just drink my my smoothie like with an intention. And like these small things, that can be so helpful. And just feeling gratitude for like the small things is for me the biggest hack.
I love that you say that because simplicity is so the opposite of the ego. Like, just be grateful. If you would tell that to everybody, and you don't need to buy any more supplements or do any more hacking.
And there's no business model.
No. Yeah.
But I think that the most important thing that we all forget is self-love. When your cup is not full, how can you take care of someone else? When you're not feeling secure, how can you help someone else? When you're in stress, how can you help someone else? And sometimes we feel that we need another pill or we need another, like something external outside of ourselves. But we're miracles. Our body is the best technology there is. And if we would be more connected to our body and more to our like spirit and our soul and like listen a little bit more to our instincts like predators do, then I would say that the world would be a better place.
What's your top tip for self-love?
Yeah, I think what Natasha's saying, the gratitude jar, starting with like every morning with your whole family, start to write down what you're grateful for. I think praying, like praying to like something out of yourself, like an energy or source or God, or I don't know, but that can also be very like making you grounded and stable and humble. And I think that we're talking about hacking the ego, but I think it's also important to love whatever you came with.
Love the ego. Yeah.
I think that's it. There's so much trauma. There's a little child there. That little child has been traumatized, and we all have that. Everyone has their story, and yeah, just give it a little bit more love.
What I found specifically about the world where I work in, and especially like the spiritual awakening that people experience, and if we're talking about self-love, that can sometimes also say no to things that do not serve you. Like we're so used to pleasing others and having like an image of ourselves that or of others to do it for someone else. But what I learned is really setting boundaries for myself and saying no, and that can be so loving.
If you want to see the most like ego hacked setting boundaries, people look at a 2-year-old. Like, you rub them the wrong way. No, it's mine. Like, that's literally. Hey, it's been such a pleasure to have you both here. Thank you.
Thank you
for being here with us.